Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funke. Chapter 1. Bad News. All was still in the Valley of the Dragons. Mist had drifted in from the sea nearby and was clinging to the mountains. Birds twittered uncertainly in the foggy damp, and clouds hid the sun. A rat came scuttling down the slope, fell head over heels, tumbling down the moss-covered rocks, and picked herself up again.
"Didn't I tell him so?"
she muttered crossly to herself. "Didn't I tell them?" Shuffling, she raised her pointed nose, listened, and headed toward a group of crooked fir trees at the foot of the highest mountain.
"I knew before winter," muttered the rat. "Oh yes, I knew before winter. I could smell it coming. But they wouldn't believe me. No, not them. They feel safe here. Safe? Huh, really?"
It was so dark under the fir trees that you could scarcely see the gaping crevice in the mountainside that swallowed up the mist.
"They don't know anything,"
the rat continued peevishly.
"That's their problem. They know absolutely nothing about the world. Not the least little thing."
She glanced warily around again, and then disappeared into the crevice in the rock. There was a large cave behind it. The rat scurried in, but she couldn't get far. Someone grabbed her tail and lifted her up in the air. "Hey, rat, what are you doing here?" The rat snapped at the furry fingers that was holding her tight, but all she caught was a mouthful of brownie hairs, which she fiercely spat out.
"Sorrel!"
she hissed.
"Let me go this instant, you brainless mushroom muncher! I don't have time for your silly brownie tricks."
"You don't have time?" Sorrel placed Rat on the flat of her paw. She was still a young brownie, no bigger than a human child, and with a spotted sulphur-yellow coat and bright cat-like eyes. "How come, Rat? What's the big hurry? Need a dragon to protect you from hungry cats or what?"
"This has nothing to do with cats!"
hissed Rat angrily. She didn't care for brownies herself, although all the dragons loved them and their furry faces. When the dragons couldn't sleep, they would listen to the strange little songs the brownies sang. And when they felt sad, no one could cheer them up as well as those sharp-tongued brownie layabouts.
"I got bad news! If you want to know, extremely bad news!" grumbled Rat. "But I'm not going to tell anyone except Fire Drake. Certainly not you."
"Bad news? Oh, festering fungus! What sort of bad news?" Sorrel scratched her stomach.
"Put me down!"
snarled Rat. "If you say so." Sorrel sighed and let Rat hop down to the stony floor of the cave. "But he is still asleep."
"Then I'll wake him up,"
spat the rat. Making her way further into the cave, where a fire burned blue, keeping the darkness and damp away from the mountain of the heart of the mountain. Besides its flames, the dragon lay asleep, curled up, with his head on its paws. His long tail, with its spiny crest, was coiled around the warmth of the fire. The flames brought a glow to his scales and cast his shadow on the cave wall. Rat scurried up to the dragon, climbed on his paw, and tugged his ear.
"Fire Drake!"
she shouted.
"Fire Drake, wake up! They're coming!"
Sleepily, the dragon raised his head and opened his eyes.
"Oh, it's you, is it, Rat?"
he murmured with a rather hoarse voice.
"Has the sun already set already, then?"
"No! But you must get up all the same. You have to wake the others."
Rat jumped off Fire Drake's paw, and scuttled up and down in front of him.
"I warned you! I really did! I warned the whole bunch of you, but you wouldn't listen! Oh, no!"
"What's he talking about?"
The dragon cast an inquiring glance at Sorrel, who was now sitting by the fire nibbling a root. "No idea," said Sorrel, munching. "She just keeps chambering on. Well, there's not much room for sense in the little head of hers."
"Oh, really?"
Rat gasped indignantly.
"Honestly, I ask you.
Take no notice, Rat.
Fire Drake rose, stretching his long neck, and shook himself.
She's in a bad temper because the mist makes her fur damp.
Pull the other one.
Rat threw Sorrel a venomous glance.
Brownies are always bad-tempered. I've been up since sunrise running my paws off to warn you. And what thanks do I get?
Her gray coat was bristling with anger.
I have to listen to her silly fur-brained fancies.
Warn us of what? Sorrel threw the nibbled remnants of her root on the wall of the cave. Oh, butchered puffballs! Stop whiling us all up like this, or I'll tie a knot in your tail!
Quiet, Sorrel.
Fire Drake brought his claw down angrily on the fire. Blue sparks flew into the brownie girl's fur, where they went out like tiny shooting stars. All right, she muttered. But the way that rat carries on is enough to drive anyone crazy.
Oh, really? Then just you listen to me.
Rat drew herself up to her full height, planting her paws on her hips and bared her teeth.
Humans are coming,
she squeaked, so shrilly that her voice echoed around the cave.
Humans are coming! You know what that means, you leaf-burrowing, mushroom-munching, shaggy-haired brownie? Humans are coming! Coming here!
Suddenly all was deathly quiet. Sorrel and Fire Drake looked at each other as if they had been turned to stone. But Rat was still trembling with rage. Her whiskers were all a-quiver, and her tail twitched back and forth on the cave floor. Fire Drake was the first to move. Humans? He asked, bending his neck and holding out his paw to Rat. Looking offended, she scrambled onto it. Fire Drake raised her to his eye level. Are you sure? He asked.
Perfectly sure,
replied the rat. Fire Drake bowed his head.
It was bound to happen someday, he said quietly. They're all over the place these days. I think there's more and more of them all the time.
Sorrel was still looking stunned. Suddenly, she jumped up and spat into the fire. But that's impossible, she cried. There's nothing here they'd want. Nothing at all.
That's what you think!
The rat bent over so far that she almost fell off Fire Drake's paw.
Don't talk such nonsense. You've mingled with humans, right? There's nothing they don't fancy, nothing they don't want. Forgetting that already, have you?
Okay, muttered Sorrel. You're right. They're greedy. They want everything for themselves.
They do indeed, the rat nodded. And I tell you, they're coming here.
The dragon fire flared up, and then the flames burned low into the darkness, like some black animal swallowed them. Only one thing could extinguish Fire Drake's fiery breath so fast, and that was sorrow. The dragon blew gently on the rocky ground, and flames flickered up once more.
This is bad news indeed, Rat,
said Fire Drake. He let Rat jump up onto his shoulder, and then went slowly towards the mouth of the cave.
Come on, Sorrel, he said. We must wake the others.
And won't they just be pleased, growled Sorrel, smothering down her ruffled fur and following Fire Drake out into the mist.